So my first topic is actually to do with driving. And so remember, our overarching theme is subjectivity. So I'm going to pull up the paint window here so I don't look like an idiot talking about something I'm not actually showing you. And all right, so we have our paint window up. And so I'm going to just write out, so we have the topic is subjectivity. And so subjectivity is I guess I'll just give a definition. Subjectivity is when you can't necessarily confirm the specific, you don't have a factual basis for how you are getting an answer. So the opposite of which would be objective. Objective means there's exactly no bias. Nothing is swaying the answer one way or the other. The answer is correct. Subjective is something that would be more opinionated or perhaps skewed by the device you are using in order to collect data. That would be a more scientific answer to that question. So today we're focusing on subjectivity because subjectivity is the main realm of information that humans receive. Now, this is because even with our receptors, our sight, hearing, taste, smell, and feeling, they are all subjective receptors. And this is because there's only a certain range that those receptors can receive inputs, and also they can be tricked. So we sometimes see things that aren't actually there, or maybe we feel as if we're falling when we're not actually falling. So I'm rambling on, but that's what subjectivity is, if you didn't know. If you want to go actually look up a definition, be my guest. Webster's or Wikipedia, I'm sure, will give you a very thorough definition. So, but what I want to talk about is driving. So this is somewhat a specific example, but this idea can be applied to many walks of life, either metaphorically or literally. So I want to bring up a scenario. And so let's say you're in your car, and we're going to go 2D for this one, just to keep things simple. We're going to draw 3 cars. I'm just going to make this even simpler. Grab this guy, copy and paste him, and paste again. All right, so we have 3 cars. And so this is car A, car B, and car C. And so one thing that you will find when you are driving, or even if you're in the passenger seat of a car, you'll notice that not everybody tends to drive the same speed. Now, the speed limit will give a good idea of where people are at. Usually, the trend tends to be slightly over the speed limit, although that is technically illegal. I don't think there's many people that specifically drive a 5 miles per hour under the speed limit. But to keep things more arbitrary and general, I'm going to be using a unit of measurement that will be somewhat confusing for people, so we are going to be using furlongs per fortnight. So furlongs per fortnight. And so let's just assign some numbers to these cars. So let's say that car B is going 100,000 furlongs per fortnight. And car A is going 50,000 furlongs per fortnight. And car C is going 150,000 furlongs per fortnight. So we have an obvious slowest car, an obvious fastest car, and a car here in the middle. Now, let's say we are in car B. So this is me, and this is you. We are both stick figures. We are both very in shape, as you can see. So these are the parameters that we're working with. And so I'm gonna clear the board here, but we're gonna just remember what these values are. Obviously, they're not too hard to remember. but I just want to set up some scenarios. So we can have a couple different scenarios. I'm just going to switch to having circles with the letters in them to represent the cars, but just assume that they are cars. So the first scenario is pretty straightforward. We're going to have car B here in the middle. We're going to have car C here out in front, and we're going to have car A in the back. And so we're going to assume that everybody is moving in this direction. And so let's analyze what's happening in this scenario. So as we know, car B is the middle car. So car A is going slower than car B, but car C is going faster than car B. This was the 150,000 furlongs per fortnight to the range of 50,000 furlongs per fortnight. So if we're in car B, what are we seeing? So car B is accelerating away, or the distance between car A and car B is increasing. The speed at which car B is going is constant, but this distance here is increasing. So you could say that the relative distance is increasing between A and B. So we will say velocity AB is greater than 0. Okay. And we can probably just make that magnitudes to make things simple since we're going in one dimension. All right. But then the same can be said between B and C. C is going faster than B, so the velocity of so the velocity of C with respect to B, which we're calling velocity BC, is greater than 0. So now we need to think about what is the information that B is getting. Let's say that B doesn't necessarily know what the speed limit is. So we are in car B. We don't know how fast we should be going on this given road. So we can use context. We can use what we have around us. But in this scenario, C is moving away from B, but B is moving away from A. So we don't really know anything. We don't know whether we're going too fast or we're going too slow. Now, there are many other scenarios that could happen. So let's say that we have both A and C behind B. All right, so we will have this scenario, and let's say that starting out, the cars are far enough away that when we look in our rearview mirror, we can't see these people until the experiment begins, or the theoretical scenario begins. So when this theoretical scenario begins, C will be going faster than B and will eventually pass us. And so we will see car C go faster than us and pass us. And so then our information that we've received is that we are going slower than the general trend. Now, there is something that we don't know about, which is this car A. We can't see this car A because we are going faster than them. So we are moving away from car A. This car is never seen. And so there's some information that is lost, and that's why this is a subjective view. We believe that we are not going fast enough because a car has passed us. Now, obviously, this can be scaled up to a macro situation when there are many cars on a highway. So there also is another scenario. So we have B in the back, A and C in the front. Oh, sorry, I wrote A twice. So B will go at a constant speed, pass car A, but car C will continue and go further away from car B. Car B will never see car C and will only know that it passed car A. So in this scenario, we believe that we are moving too fast, and so we may slow down to try and not break the law if that's the situation. And there's one final situation, which is the inverse of the beginning situation, where we have car C, we have car B, and we have car A. And so car B will pass car A, but car C will pass car B. Now, you could do the math to figure out if one will happen before the other, but I believe that the fact that the speed difference is the same in both scenarios, which will mean that they all meet up at the same point. I may be wrong about that, so do the math yourself if you're actually interested. But in this scenario, we kind of get the whole picture. We see that we're faster than one car, but we're slower than another car. So we're at a nice medium. Maybe we're doing the right thing here. So obviously, this is a very simplified scenario. And so the reason that I bring this up is because specifically focusing on driving, when you're on a highway, let's say you don't actually know the speed. If you think, or let's say that you don't know the trend of that highway, maybe when you go to a different state, people tend to go a little bit faster than you would in a particular speed limit in your state. So, and this can happen just from changes in region. I live in Orlando now, and I know for a fact that people go faster in Orlando than they did in my hometown, which was somewhat smaller. So when you're trying to judge whether you're going fast enough to fit the trend of the flow of traffic, then it's important to keep in mind that it's possible that only the fast people started behind you and they pass you, and there's also slow people that started behind you and they don't pass you because they're going slower than you. You're only getting the information that people are passing you. So it's important to look at things from different perspectives. So this is why perhaps having a specific speed you go in a given speed limit area is nice to know, because you may be influenced to drive faster than you would normally simply because a lot of people are passing you. So this is just a statistical anomaly that all of the fast people happen to start behind you. Now, the converse is possible. All of the fast people, let's say you start at the back of the pack. Well, in that case, you're only going to pass people, and you'll never see the people that are going faster than you because they didn't start behind you. They were in front of you. So they will continue on, and that gap will increase. So like I said, this is a very specific example, but it can be applied to many different situations, because you have to assume that you are perhaps not getting the entire set of information. And so it's important to use a logical analysis of a given situation to bring out the possibility of error in the logic you are using. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say on this topic. If there's any questions, I will answer them before I move on to the next topic. But this is a general idea that I've been thinking about a lot in the past few days and past few months, just because it kind of struck me that there's so many situations where we don't really get all of the information. And I think that people are too quick to act on the first information that they get, which makes them very suggestible. And so this is something that causes a lot of interesting ideas when it comes to economics, when it comes to psychology. So in an economics scenario, people tend to act in accordance to the first price that they saw. Say that somebody was going to Starbucks initially, and they go to Dunkin' Donuts and the coffee's cheaper. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't really drink coffee. But let's say that's the scenario. Then someone may say, hey, maybe I should go to Dunkin' Donuts because it's a cheaper coffee. Now, some people may argue that the coffee is better at Starbucks or something like that. But essentially, that is something that goes on. But maybe if someone were to start at Dunkin' Donuts, they would have that picture of what the initial price of coffee should be, and when they see a more expensive price, they may be deterred, even though they may be getting a better cup of coffee for any reason. So that's the general topic of subjectivity in this social environment. So I'm going to transition into a more political environment, but I will give it a couple seconds just to make it less of a abrupt transition. So I'm going to clean stuff up here and take a nice drink of water. So.